Hi, beautiful ladies. Welcome back to my channel. So, today I just wanted to talk about the importance of staying away from industry dudes. So, most of you have probably heard the allegations surrounding the dream. I don't need to go into details about that. You can just do a quick search to see what's going on. Um, but honestly, what is going on with him and many others like him is nothing new. I have spoken about it many times before on this channel. There have been many similar allegations before his time, and there will be many others after him, especially since the Diddy case has gone viral. Um, Cassie was intentional in handling things the way that she did. A lot of people have said that she should have pressed charges so that he could be criminally prosecuted. But, I truly believe that her objective was to literally open Pandora's box um, for Diddy so that, he can face his public trial, if you will. This also just opens up the floodgates for other women who are in the industry because honestly, nothing comes good from an industry that objectifies women in their music. And I've said this before in another video as well. The hip hop, R&B, rap industry is the only industry that I know of, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. Oh, and Jamaican dancehall music that objectifies women. Whereas other groups of men, they only sing their women's praises in public. And so one should not be surprised when they hear about these allegations or they hear about these artists doing these things as if it were some sort of strange thing that happened because, well, the music points to it. The music, there have been many artists who have been pretty explicit in their views towards women and their belief in how they should be able to access a woman, whether she agrees to it or not. So this is nothing new. Also, these men work together, they network together, they party together, and they thrive off of the same energy and power. And while you may think that they are in competition with each other, which is partially true, for the most part, these men are a part of a network. They do multiple collaborations with each other, and the objective is to continue to push and promote the hip hop culture and genre so that they can grow collectively, right? When one artist is doing well, another artist will do well because people want more. It's like, oh, okay, wow, this artist just released an album and it was pretty good. I wonder if there's more music. And so when they feed off of each other like that, when they're able to feed off of each other's success, that ultimately generates more money for them. That's why even like these rap beefs, a lot of them are orchestrated to get people hyped because people like that negativity. And you'll notice that a lot of times when these beefs come out, it does help to boost the artist's sale. So they never shy away from that. Also, most of these men have come from humble beginnings. So, whether they lived in the projects, they had a poor upbringing, or they just had like a regular. The matter is, most of these men have not been exposed to wealth. So when they suddenly get access to large amounts of money in a short period of time, they don't know how to handle it because their mind is still stuck in, many of them, is survival mode. Or if they're not in survival mode, they just don't know how to deal with the money, which is also why a lot of them also go bankrupt even after making millions of dollars. Some of them also try to hold on to power by inflicting pain on those who are weaker than them or who they think is weaker than them. And this is usually women or younger, more impressionable men who are newer to the industry. So we keep hearing the same recurring patterns. We keep hearing about, women being assaulted by these rappers or record label owners or producers or just the higher ups in the industry. And then you hear the same thing from some men as well. And people kind of it just baffles me that people still don't believe that this is possible when there are recurring patterns that prove that this is a common thing in this industry. Gender based violence is also prevalent in the industry because a lot of these industry dudes came from the Black community And unfortunately, this behavior is rampant in the Black community and it has yet to be addressed. A lot of exoticals find themselves in the company of these dudes because our aesthetic is desired by them. We're in the music videos, on the red carpets with them, and many exoticals enter relationships with these dudes and end up paying the price. They desire our look because it's profitable. The world ultimately recognizes and responds to our beauty, but they often mistreat exoticals because femininity in general is not honored in the Black community. And just as an aside, because our look is desired, our aesthetic is desired as the pinnacle of beauty essentially in the industry, whether people want to admit it or not. This is why I tell exoticals, Black exoticals specifically, that it's important for you to use your looks to social climb and get ahead because it literally is a commodity and a currency that you can use to your advantage that not everyone has access to, and that you should only enter spaces that are beneficial to you. We look at women, beautiful exotical like Kim Porter, who got involved with Diddy. Look at what everyone knows what happened with Cassie, and just so many other exoticals who had sad stories because they got involved with these industry dudes. Like Kim had it going on for herself long before she got involved with Diddy. Like she was a model and she wasn't even like what you would consider like a modern day social media influencer. Like she was a supermodel. She was walking on runways. She was walking couture. She was posing in like high-end magazines. Like she had it set for herself long before she met Diddy. And after she met Diddy is when things went downhill for her essentially. And the same thing happened with Whitney Houston. And of course, Whitney Houston had her own issues before she met Bobby Brown. But honestly, Bobby Brown was the catalyst that really catapulted her issues to the next level. And now, unfortunately, Whitney Houston is no longer with us. So please learn from those before you. A lot of younger exoticals make the mistake and think that because that you're younger and more impressionable, and maybe you think that you're prettier, that you won't be a target. But please look at these women and know that regardless of what you look at, these men will stop at nothing to treat you like garbage. Okay? So please be mindful of the spaces that you enter and only enter spaces, number one, where you're safe, and number two, where it is beneficial for you to be with this person. And for me, benefits don't only equal money because you can get money on your own. Kim Porter had her own money. Whitney Houston had her own money. So money was not necessarily the objective. And I know that a lot of exoticals come from humble beginnings as well. And so when you get the first glimpse of a better life without having really to do too much to earn it, it can seem enticing. But as I said before, a lot of these men think that they own you as soon as they enter a relationship with you, or even if you have a working relationship, okay, a working, professional, transactional relationship. These men don't understand how to be professional and they feel like it's appropriate to treat you like property, if you will. And then, just in general, when you look at some of the industry favorites from the 2000s, for example, like Melissa Ford, Kareen Steffens, and so on, what you'll notice is that a lot of these women were like the pinnacle of the video vixen era at that time. They appeared in probably most of the music videos back then, and they pretty much helped to generate millions of dollars for these artists and these record labels. But just based on the fact that exotical bodies just were not respected and appreciated back then, and these women just lacked the support to advocate for themselves, they saw little to no amount of that wealth. And while some of them went on to become radio personalities, authors, etc., honestly, they should have profited more from their exposure because, again, like their image helped to generate millions of dollars for these artists. So I say all this to say, exoticals, be like your white counterparts and your Asian counterparts and only enter spaces where number one, you'll be respected, and number two, where you'll gain more financially from working with that person. So even like white women who have been assaulted by white men, or even white women who were sex workers, they typically are protected by their community. Their community typically does not take kindly to this type of behavior. And so while they may not outwardly show support to the victim, they also will not outwardly support the abuser either. And which is unlike what happens in the Black community, because like Black people will still shout from the rooftops that a Black man is innocent, even when there is glaring evidence that he's guilty of what he's been accused of. So in general, what I'm trying to say is, as I said before, the Black community, the Black collective, but also these industry spaces are not safe for you because number one, you don't get protection when things happen. Number two, you're not given the benefit of the doubt of being innocent um, when situations occur. And number three, you don't even make enough money to be putting yourself through these unfortunate situations. So please reconsider the type of access that you give these men. Even modern day, like you hear about girls like the Instagram influencers and so on. They'll often share stories about how, they were assaulted at a party. They went through something very traumatic that no one should have to go through. These industry dudes think that they own you just because you're a woman, but also because they think that you're vulnerable. And you are vulnerable because, again, like you don't have the benefit of the doubt of being innocent in these cases. So if you are into modeling and you want to get your exotical tax by modeling and using your looks quite literally to get ahead, just be mindful of the spaces that you enter. Um, if you're going to be working with bigger artists, for example, maybe have a lawyer look at contracts so that, there's no funny business going on and people know that it's strictly business. But also, if you have like a model-esque look, especially if you're like younger, like you're in high school or even like your early 20s, see if you can get signed with a modeling agency, like quite literally. There's far less cases of assault. I'm sure that the modeling industry has its own hangups and issues, but you don't hear about cases of assault happening the way that you hear the rampant stories of assault that's going on today in the hip hop industry. And to be quite frank, I'm sorry that this happened to this young lady. I hope that everything gets resolved, but I honestly don't think anything's going to come of it. And I don't think that this is the last time that we're going to hear about people's favorites being accused of things. It's just going to keep going um, because that's just the culture. This is something that people think is acceptable to do. And so nothing's going to change. And if nothing is going to change, it is your responsibility to look out for yourself by literally separating yourself unapologetically. And you don't even have to announce it. Quite frankly, you should not announce it. Just separate yourself and move on to somewhere where you're going to be safe. Okay? Let me know your thoughts on this one down below in the comments, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.